What is going on, guys? How y'all doing tonight? This is the Club of the Man 1993, back up here live one more time tonight, as we're going to be going live and reviewing Friday Night Smackdown from the November 11th, 2022 edition of Smackdown. It is the Fallout show from Crown Jewel, and it took place in Indianapolis, Indiana. And of course, we are now just a little under 2 weeks now from WWE's Survivor Series War Games, and we seem to have had set most of the men's portion of the match on this episode of SmackDown this past week. Overall, though, I thought this past episode of SmackDown was, as a trending word people like to say lately, I think that MJF started, is mid. It wasn't horrible. There were things I liked, but good God Almighty, it was there was something on this show that was absolutely abysmal. We will talk about that. I mean, other stuff was decent. It was an overall decent show, but oh man, that women's match, ouch. That was very painful to watch. And a lot of things were just like, okay, this happened. But we'll get into it. We'll talk about it. Not going to spend too much time up here. Well, as always, I say that and I end up spending more time than I originally intended on. But we're going to check the live chat quick. We got Bowser in a live chat. Is this Bowser from Mario? Are you going to throw a Koopa shell at me? Thank you for joining us. Are you doing good? I'm doing good. Sounds good. So far, I am doing good too as well. I mean, it's Sunday night. Got the Sunday gloom, but, you know, it happens. But let's go and talk about SmackDown this week. The structure of the card was strange. I mean, I get what they did. I get what they did. They were basically ending one thing and transitioning into something else with the bloodline. But also at the same time, it was just weird because the moment that opening match had, it was like, okay, it happened, we're moving on. I feel like it was, so the show kicked off with what I thought should have ended the show. The Usos versus the New Day. It's for the undisputed tag titles, and it was for the record holding for who will be the longest reigning WWE World Tag Team Champions of all time. I believe as of tomorrow, I think the New Day will the Usos will either tie or break the New Day's record. But they opened it up with the show. I still felt they should have closed it with that. But I understand why, but it was just weird. Like, this was like a big moment. Because we've had, you know, like a great rivalry between these two teams. And I feel like something else should have happened on top of it. You know? But the match was still great. I would not say it was their best match. I would say, their best match by far was their Hell in a Cell match. I would say it probably is their second or third best match I've seen. Because I do remember the other match I remember besides the Hell in a Cell match they had a match, I believe it was at SummerSlam 2017. And it was on the pre-show instead of the main show. They should have had that match on the main show, and they instead they had Enzo and Big Show with, it was Big Cass and Big Show with Enzo locked in a steel cage, in a shark cage. That match really blew. But that SmackDown tag match on the pre-show on that show, whew, that should have been on there. But by far, their best match will always to me be that Hell in a Cell match in 2017. That was a classic. But they still had an excellent match. It had like the back and forth drama of like it left you in limbo feeling like you didn't know who was going to win. But of course, after some craziness, and some crazy close calls, the Usos did eventually hit the 1D on Kofi Kingston in mid-air, like very similar to how they won at Crown Jewel when they pinned Pete Dunne from the Brawling Brutes. Afterwards, though, it's like they both just kind of laid there and stood across from each other, and they kind of broke character a little bit to show a little bit of a sign of respect, saying, you got us, basically, but that was it. And I guess the biggest fallout from this is where we go next with the New Day, though. Because, people have said, there's no secret, they've dragged on the New Day far too long. Yes, they're Hall of Famers, they're an excellent tag team, yes, they started from the ground up, but again, it's really run its course. And now, especially since they don't have that title of they're the longest reigning tag champions, then even more so they feel pointless right now. Because Big E's still out. Last I heard he may be out until March. Or after WrestleMania at this point. I don't know when Big E will come back or if he ever will come back. I still hope he does, but I'm not getting my hopes up. But when they bring Big E back, they really need to, 1, reset his singles push. 2, I really think they gotta turn Kofi Kingston heel. I really think it's time. Again, Kofi can be a main event star. We saw even though he was limited and they tried to water him down with that 6-month title reign he had in 2019, he still showed he can handle, the workload of being a world champion. But I really think that he's got to go heel. Especially, people have, really gotten down on him because, how he reacted whenever, he was, cool with losing a few seconds to Brock Lesnar. It's oh, well, I'm moving on. It's when they really showed that serious side of Kofi, I'm come on, give me more of this. So, if there's any time right now, they gotta go a different direction with the New Day, it's now. Again, they're Hall of Famers. I applaud them, but they really have nothing left to show. I'm sorry, they really don't. Now, especially since they don't even have that they can't call themselves the longest reigning tag champions of all time because they're not anymore. So now, what's the point of them still being a group? We'll see what happens, though. We'll see what Papa H has in mind. I'm still hoping, though, if Big E does get to come back to wrestling, I still hope they do a reset on that singles push. I really do. He really needs a reset. He needs another chance to be world champion again. Even Kofi could be world champion again, of course, as a single star. But we'll see, though. And even Xavier Woods, I don't think Xavier Woods would be a world champion. But I at this point, compared to how he was years ago, even before New Day started, I can at least see Xavier Woods being someone I would take seriously contending for the US or the Intercontinental title. Just my opinion. I don't think Xavier Woods is going to be dead in the water on his own, but I do think that he could at least be a solid mid-card act, in my opinion. So yeah. But anyways, so we had that. Then it was announced, well, of course, it was announced this week, recently, that there's going to be a SmackDown World Cup tournament. And it's going to be 8 men, and the winner of the tournament gets a shot at Gunther's Intercontinental Championship. And it's a solid variety of different countries and whatnot. This week we had Santos Escobar take on Shinsuke Nakamura in a good match. I still believe it would, if we would have the Shinsuke Nakamura from NXT, though, if he ever got back on track again, because he's still not there. But if he ever got back on track again, Shinsuke Nakamura from NXT versus Santos Escobar would be a pay-per-view quality match. But the match they had this week was good. Santos did win, as he should have. I think that was his first singles match. So giving him that victory, that was a good way to go for sure. If they wanted to take him to the finals, I'd be cool with that. And we also had Braun Strowman versus the returning modern day Maharaja, former WWE champion Jinder Mahal. And I'm just like, oh God. Did you miss him? Did you miss him? Because I didn't miss him. I really did not miss Jinder Mahal. But it's okay, because he got squashed by flippity floppity hater Braun Strowman. I'm sorry, I had to give him that beef for he has heat apparently for that tweet he made. But Braun Strowman won. Now, if Braun Strowman didn't get that heat, I'd say he'd be winning this and going on to face Gunther for the Intercontinental title, which I would want to see Gunther win. That'd be a pretty darn good match. Gunther and Braun Strowman, that would really push Gunther to the limit. But I would want to see Gunther win that, of course. But next week, the matches we're having is Sami Zayn and Pete Dunne. Not Butch, Pete Dunne. Which, that's probably going to tie into what they're building out to the War Games match. And then we're also going to be getting Ricochet and Mustafa Ali. Which again is random because Ali's on Raw, but you know what? Fine. But that's going to be a good match. They've had a couple matches under Vince McMahon, and they've been good. Like, they were pushing like that limit, like this could be even better than it was. So I do wonder what craziness they could do next week on SmackDown when they have that match. That would be an awesome match. So of course, but yeah, so far we had Braun Strowman and Jinder Mahal. Well, Braun Strowman being Jinder Mahal, squashing Jinder Mahal, and Santos Escobar defeated Shinsuke Nakamura in a solid match as well. So that's how we're starting off with that tournament. That's, not a bad idea for sure. Then we had this very interesting backstage segment. So we have LA Knight being interviewed, complaining about being left out of the World Cup tournament. Says he can't stop this gravy train, all white, while the monitor behind him is glitching Bray Wyatt's, logo and whatnot. And he acknowledges, he turns around, he's about to complain about it, but he turns back around, and replacing the interviewer was indeed Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt introduces himself and says, "We can be friends. I think we understand all that anger and rage inside of him." His whole life, people have told him that his rage would make a monster out of him. And for the longest time, he's pretended he's not proud of what he does. But he doesn't know how true that is anymore. He knows what it takes to give a man respect. And he asks LA Knight how far he's willing to go, but then Knight says it's none of his business. Tells Bray Wyatt to go play with his puppets and stick him anywhere. And it's LA Knight's game, and then Bray Wyatt drops with a head drop. So looks like we're doing a feud with LA Knight and Bray Wyatt. That's Bray Wyatt's first opponent? Interesting. I feel like that, obviously LA Knight's going to lose. But also, LA Knight does not need to be built around an undefeated streak. I feel like, though, this will be a very good, character development food. Wow, I can't speak. Character development feud. It's not going to be mostly the in-ring work. It's going to be, the microphone work, the promos, the story, and whatnot. I feel like that it's going to be like another Roman Reigns and Jey Uso feud. It's not about the actual match. It's more so about the story and character development. And I like it, because I think it'll be a win-win situation for both Bray Wyatt and LA Knight. So I'm intrigued to see what we do with that. So we have that. Oh man. Let's talk about this. So I'd say one of the biggest talking points of this show, and the reason why I think this show really suffered, is because of this 6-pack challenge for the #1 contendership for the SmackDown Women's title. Oh my God, was this match horrible. This match is horrible. So, the match featured, and here's the thing also. Well, first, here's who's all in the match. Liv Morgan, Raquel Rodriguez. I'm still not used to calling her that. Lacey Evans, Sonya Deville, Shotzi Blackheart, and Xia Li. And first off, the match wasn't even that long. But half the time I forgot who was in this match. Because barely anybody did anything in this match. It was clunky. It was a clusterfuck. It was like, I barely remember anybody in the match. I think the people who got the most, like, spotlight in this match was probably Liv Morgan, Sonya Deville, and maybe Raquel Rodriguez also. Because I remember, it was weird. Like, I remember, like, at the beginning of the match, like, everybody, like, brawls to the outside, and then Lacey Evans just hits a women's right on Shotzi Blackheart. She took her time to do the pinfall. That broke it up, and it was, like, one move, and, like, everybody was down and out. Like, Xia Li barely got anything in this match either as well. But it was just clunky. Like, I couldn't follow along with it. Like, nobody really benefited from this. It just once again showed that all these women need work. And they need to work with, like, you know, like a Charlotte or a Becky or a, well, in-ring wise Ronda, not on the microphone Ronda, and a few others. Like, the Raw Women's Division has some. SmackDown's Women's Division has, like, nothing. And it's just showed in this match. And the part that really killed this match, in my opinion, was there was a spot where Raquel Rodriguez set up a table. And she was brawling with Sonya Deville. Liv Morgan is on the barricade behind the announce desk. Goes to jump off the barricade. And it looked like she was supposed to, like, crash and send both Raquel and Sonya through the table. But I think she landed into Raquel, but she didn't time the jump right, and they both, like, landed, like, right in front of the table. It looked like basically, like, you know, like, Liv, I think, got, like, a little bit of the table, but she just, like, landed kind of like if you were just, like, resting your arms on top of the table. She was just, like, and fell back. Table never broke. It just awkwardly stood there the rest of the match. And then, after that bloop spot, it was, like, Lacey and Shotzi just roll back in. Forgot there, like I said, I think the most spotlight in this brief match was Raquel, Sonya, and Liv. Like, Xia Li did lickety split. Lacey Evans had just knocked out Shotzi Blackheart. And then this finish here where Liv and Shotzi just roll back in, and Shotzi hits this finishing move. I think it's called Never Wake Up or something like that on Liv. And I mean, I'm sorry, not Liv, on also Logan Paul. Wow, I can't speak today. On Lacey Evans, and Shotzi gets the win, and Shotzi's going to take on Ronda at Survivor Series. I mean, going into this match, I didn't know who else really was going to pick. I thought they would just go with, you know, Raquel, since, you know, Raquel, I mean, here's the thing about Raquel Rodriguez. There's some matches, I get it. There's some matches I don't. Like, she's still inconsistent. Like, she's got something. Again, I would much rather watch her than Nia Jax. But she's not consistent. I just felt like she probably would have been the next best choice to win. Because again, I love Shots, don't get me wrong, but all they've done is they've given her tank back. Like, I feel like she hadn't... I just think back to over the summer when Shotzi was a heel still, and Ronda squashed her once or twice. And yes, they gave Shotzi her old gimmick back, but they haven't, like, really, like, you know, like, brushed off the cobwebs of it. Like, it still feels like this is the old Shotzi pulled out of, like, the Misty, you know, cobweb toy chest. Like, I think this match is going to be a little bit of a squash. Because it's not going to be enough time for Shotzi to get more developed again. If her character was how it was in NXT, where it was, you know, not the most fan favorite, but more established, then I'd be a little more intrigued. But right now, it's kind of like, you just gave her the gimmick back. I can't take it seriously. Because, I mean, if they were going to do this on an episode of SmackDown, okay, but they're doing it at Survivor Series. And I'm kind of like, that does not scream pay-per-view to me. But, yeah, this match was awful. Like, it was probably maybe my worst, one of my worst matches here, if not the worst match of the year. It was not good at all. But yeah, Survivor Series was I mean, not Survivor Series. This 6-pack challenge was not good at all. So Shotzi wins. Then we get this segment. So first we have Shotzi backstage, and Emma rolls up to congratulate her. And then Shotzi and she tells her she thinks she can beat Ronda. And of course, they also mentioned how Emma took Ronda to the limit with her return recently. But then Emma asks Shotzi, "Have you seen Madcap Moss?" And then Shotzi's like, "Ooh, you're crushing on him." And then Emma just brushed it off and just, drifts away. Because then we have Shayna Baszler roll up and tell Shotzi to enjoy her moment before Ronda gives her the beating of a lifetime. And then Shotzi says how Ronda's never been in the ring with someone like her, which she has, but, But anyways, it led to Shayna telling her to turn around and say that to Ronda herself, and turns around, Ronda's there, and then Shayna puts her in the Karafuda clutch, and they're having a match next week on SmackDown, which I hate because, they're not going to give Shotzi a victory. I mean, they may do it by DQ, but I don't like the idea about they're going to have Shayna Baszler lose again, and it's under Triple H. I don't like that. Like Shayna Baszler needs to be booked strong again. Triple H is there, she's being paired up with Ronda. Get her back on track. But her losing to Shotzi's not going to do anything next week. I'm sorry, it's not. As for the thing with Emma and Madcap Moss, so we'll see, but I still feel awkward about it. Because we all know that WWE does not have a good history of writing love stories. But of course, Triple H is in charge now. Like, if they can do what they did with, whoever they don't have the last love story to me that succeeded again was the story with Otis and Mandy Rose. But also that writer of that story who was writing that, she was let go during that Black Wednesday release in April 2020. So this could work, but I think it's just a little odd because we already know in real life Emma and Madcap Moss are dating in real life. So it's a little strange, but my thing I'm wondering is I'm wondering if they're only doing this because they've been trying, even after, of course, Vince retired, they've really been trying to get Madcap Moss over. And he's just there. Like, I still think his best, of course, when he was Riddick Moss and him and Tino Sabatelli were a team in NXT. That was a solid team. Like, that would have been a stronger Miz Taraj for the Miz. Back when he had Bo Dallas and Curtis Axel and his Miz Taraj. That a stable with Riddick Moss and Tino Sabatelli would have worked a little bit better. But I'm wondering because, Emma's more popular, no doubt about it. I'm wondering if they're only doing this just so they can try to rub some popularity and give a little bit more of a rub on the Madcap Moss. So it's kind of a love story. The awkward part, though, is again, when they did Otis and Mandy Rose, Mandy was a heel. And she was slowly turning more face, even though they had, Dolph Ziggler being, the rival trying to steal the girl, basically, or whatnot. So for Emma to be a face, and whoever they have try to be, the one to snatch Emma, or unless they go another way and have Madcap Moss have his eye on somebody else or something. I don't know, because I was under the impression that they're going to do a feud with Emma and Xia Li last week. But I don't know if they'll have Madcap have eyes for Xia Li, or because if they have a heel woman try to steal the face man, it's gonna baby face man, it's gonna be awkward. But we'll see what happens with that. So we had that happen. Ricochet being interviewed backstage talking about his match with Mustafa Ali, and then Gunther rolls up and he says, "I hope you win because I'd love to beat you again." Because because Gunther was the one. Gunther had to beat Ricochet to become Intercontinental Champion, which Ricochet, of course, had a very forgettable reign again because he barely did anything with the title. We also then, of course, we had just when Braun Strowman squashed Jinder, and then we had Hit Row come out, and it was announced that B-Fab was going to be having a singles match against Zelina Vega. And I'm like, okay. So I'm like, this is different because I don't think... Did B-Fab ever wrestle in NXT? I don't think she did. As far as I know. I don't think she ever wrestled in NXT. So I'm like, okay, this is interesting. So Hit Row comes out. And then Legado del Fantasma comes out. But then we hear a gong and the lights go out. And I'm like, uh-oh. Which, of course, it was not Undertaker, of course. I misled that. It was the Viking Raiders making their return. They haven't been seen since they beat New Day, but I guess one of them had suffered an injury, and they used this to hype up. There was like a third member, Vanala, or whatever the heck they were calling it, coming back. And we all pretty much figured it was, and it happened. Viking Raiders came out and just dismantled both teams, and it was revealed that the female on the thing was indeed Sarah Logan, or of course now Sarah, well, I don't think she's going to be called Sarah Rowe, but Sarah Rowe, real life wife to Raymond Rowe, also known as, of course, Eric. But Sarah Logan's back. And she had this weird black makeup on, like, up around her eyes, like, halfway above her face. She was like a two-face, except instead of, like, this way, it was this way, two-faced. So... we'll see what happens. Like I said, I just think Sarah Logan was not even close to being ready for the main roster when they brought her up. So we'll see what happens. I mean, welcome back to her, of course. Like, maybe her being part of this stable is like a little more, something that she could benefit. Especially, again, she's working with her husband. So maybe he'll bring out some more. I didn't see her before, but we'll see. But Sarah Logan's back. Again, we had a beatdown from Viking Raiders on both Legado del Fantasma and Hit Row. Anyways, so we then have the show ended because Roman Reigns had said throughout the night he needs to address some business. He needs the Usos to come out with him for this. Solo Sikoa was there as well. Sami Zayn, they said, was taking care of a personal matter. So we had Roman come out with the Bloodline come out. He asked Indianapolis to acknowledge him. And then he hands Paul Heyman the mic. And talks about how, talking to Roman on the private jet on their way to Indy. He also then, of course, he trashed Indy, but then he talks about the great sports rivalries they play out on Fox. The Usos versus the New Day, he's lying through his teeth. That's not a great rivalry because New Day can't compare to the Usos. No team can. They're the longest reigning tag champions of all time, and they live on the island of relevancy. And that brings us back to Roman, who is basically, like, one of the first times, like, really putting over the Usos to congratulate them for what they've done. He says it's not easy being his cousin. Their whole lives, everyone has had to acknowledge him for his greatness. And it looked like he was getting ready for us to say, acknowledge the Usos. For what it looked like. But then they got interrupted by the Brawling Brutes. And they're sick of, and both of them were at my hand, and I think Ridge was like, we're sick of the Bloodline using the numbers game every week. And it's fight night, and they brought backup. And the first person that came out with them was the returning Sheamus. So I think Sheamus got written off TV for a couple weeks because of his wedding. But he returned, and the last time we saw Sheamus, he got beat down by the Bloodline. But poor Sheamus, his microphone was not working, and I don't think that was in the script. I think it was legitimate botch. Like, his microphone was not working. So then Roman just calls him out on it, and then of course Sheamus gave up on trying to speak to the microphone. So they just rushed to the ring, and we got a 4-on-3 brawl. But then it looked like, okay, who else is coming out? And we hear the sword music, and Drew McIntyre comes out to even up the odds. And the show ends with a 4-on-4 brawl. Obviously showing at least these four are going to be in War Games. Which, okay, we knew the Bloodline was going to be in the War Games match, but this feels like it's a bunch of like recent, like, you know, feuds with the Bloodline, like the Brawling Brutes, and of course Drew McIntyre, because, you know, he hasn't quite gotten his revenge on Solo Sikoa for costing him his title victory at Clash of the Castle. So okay, it makes sense a little bit. I just feel like it's a little bit more thrown together than what the women's match was. Even though, of course, the women had some issues with the booking of Damage Control, I still feel like their story is a little bit more. I'm still like a slight bit more intrigued for the story for the women's War Games match, but I feel like the men's match will be better. This will still be a great match. It'll still be great physical, but it feels a little bit more thrown together. Now, of course, Sami Zayn is obviously going to be with the Usos for their fifth member. I'm hearing rumors that this is where they might bring back Kevin Owens, because they've kept Kevin Owens off TV because this stuff with Sami and Jay, they wanted to go on a little bit longer. So they kind of like put their plans for Kevin Owens on hold. But this could be where Kevin Owens returns, and they have Kevin Owens be the fifth member of the babyface team. But it still should be a good match. I mean, most of them, well, actually, just Pete Dunne, as far as I know, has the experience inside War Games. He was in two of the War Games matches in NXT. Because Rich Holland was supposed to be in the one with Pat McAfee and the Brit Arm Brawlers, Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch against the Undisputed Era. He was supposed to be in that one, but then he got hurt. I don't think Solo was ever in one. Definitely the Usos and Roman and Sami never been inside one. Kevin Owens was the surprise one with the Undisputed Era versus Ciampa, Keith Lee, Dijakovic, and Owens was the surprise fourth member. Yeah, Sheamus never been in one, but yeah, that we what it is. So a little thrown together, but kind of some like recent stories being put together. So okay, I personally feel War Games a little bit more for the OC and Judgment Day. Like, I thought they would maybe, you know, do like a mixed War Games match with having, you know, Mia and Rhea. Although I don't know how it would work, because once you bring in one of the women, the other one is going, because they're going to, unless they let them. But I don't know. It would have been weird. I know, but it was the way that they were teasing it. But yeah, so we'll see. But that's SmackDown. Again, SmackDown wasn't horrible. There's just a couple, like, you know, meh moments. Like I said earlier, I really felt that, you know, the Usos and New Day should have ended the show, but I understand why they didn't. I feel like the moment should have been bigger than like, okay, awesome, Usos won, congrats, we're moving on, is what it felt like, really. That women's match, though, ouch, just really brought it down. Really, really, really brought the show down. That was horrible. But yeah, let's check the live chat. We got a lot of, hopefully this is not a spammer. We got Bowser. We have Otis doing a lot of one-word stuff. I do not play 2K. I do not. What's up, Tyler? We got Wrestling News 365. Would you like to see Gunther defend the Intercontinental title against Braun Strowman? That's a match I want to see. Could be. I don't know who's going to win that tournament. I mean, Braun could win it, yeah. I wouldn't mind seeing. Sammy's not winning it because he's going to be in War Games. Pete Dunne can't win it because he's going to be in War Games. But that would be an excellent a rematch with Gunther and Pete Dunne, like the third match between them from NXT, I believe it is. That would be awesome to see. Escobar is a heel. I don't think he's going to win, but I wouldn't mind seeing him get into the finals. Like, they probably will have Sammy and Pete Dunne go up against, and then the winner of that maybe will go up against what's his name now? Escobar. Or now who would, I don't know who's going to get past Strowman though. Like, I don't know what they're going to do with Braun Strowman. Are they going to set up a rematch with him and Omos? I don't want to see that. I don't know. But if Strowman wins, him and Gunther would be a great match. I'm not going to knock on that for sure. But I don't know if he's going to win this because of his recent heat he's gotten. Let me see here. Tad says, why can't Charlotte just come back to take the belt off of Horseface? I don't think Ronda's losing that title to WrestleMania, but to help out some of these other women, like, yeah, that would be a good reason to bring back Charlotte, of course. What's your thoughts on Sarah Logan's recharge WWE? Like I said, I gotta see, it happen. Like I said, I wasn't the biggest fan of her when she was here. Again, I just thought they brought her up way too soon. I definitely thought, Liv and Ruby were a little more intrigued by them when they were with the Riot Squad, but I need to see more from her. I thought she was really green the last time she was here. But people have told me that obviously she's done stuff on the indies and whatnot, but I just think maybe she just hasn't had a chance to show what she really can do. So again, we'll see what happens this time around. Again, this could work because it's a little more in her wheelhouse, and again, she's working with her husband too. So I think Viking Raiders will be fine, and so we'll see what she has to do as well. After all, this is going to be 3 tag teams with a female manager in there. We got Legado del Fantasma. Well, they have 3 men on there with Escobar, and then of course Cruz del Toro and Joaquin Wilde. Even though just them as a team alone, man. But again, Escobar, huge fan of Escobar. Hit Row, well, if Swerve wasn't in AEW, he would have came back with Hit Row for sure. I don't know. Missing Swerve is kind of hurting Hit Row a little bit. I keep hearing rumors that when they call him Carmelo Hayes, they may put him with Hit Row, which I'd be for that because I feel like they're missing a piece. Hit Row, and of course the Viking Raiders, of course, as well. But we got some people there. But yeah, Otis says Yokozuna. Not sure what I mean by that. Tyler gave the show a B-. Wrestling news. Where the hell is Tegan Nox? I don't know. Hopefully she'll be back soon. Again, the rumors are that she's someone else Triple H wants to bring back. And I hope that he does. Ivar, GG, A+. Rest in peace, Eddie Guerrero, for sure. Bunch of letters from Otis. Triple H saved Survivor Series. He did for sure. No more brand versus brand shit. Do you think Bray Wyatt and LA Knight Wrestling Survivor Series? But I thought it was Raw versus SmackDown. It is not Raw versus SmackDown, thank goodness. But I think we'll probably see that at Survivor Series too. But that'll be an interesting match. I said before. Do you think Ronda and Shayna should win the women's tag titles? Honestly, as a team, yes. They should. They really should. I don't know if they'll have them be the ones to dethrone Damage Control. Maybe, or if Sasha and Naomi do return and are on the female babyface team, maybe, I don't know. But I feel like you should put the tag titles on them at some point. Definitely before you split them up and have Ronda versus Shayna at some point, which we are going to do that match at some point. Love stories should be in my wrestling's dumpster fires. Tyler, and your brutal honesty. I love it. Two-Face is a Batman bad guy. That's right. Don't do Charlotte and Bianca at WrestleMania. Like I said, I pitched the idea. So I don't know if anybody watched my Mia Yim turn alert earlier. I pitched the idea. Since it doesn't look like they're going to be putting the Raw Women's title on Bayley. What if Rhea Ripley? I mean, I think this might be a little too soon. What if Rhea Ripley won the Raw Women's title off of Bianca Belair? Because that's who they're teasing she's going to feud with next, is Rhea Ripley. What if they have Rhea Ripley dethrone Bianca Belair, and Mia Yim wins the Rumble, and we have Rhea versus Mia at WrestleMania? Which I like, but I do feel it might be a little too soon for that, though. Because you gotta reestablish Mia. Because, again, she's come back, and the last time we saw her, she was reckoning. And horrible in that position. Because, of course, of Retribution. So, that wouldn't be a bad alternative, but, again, if they did Bianca and Charlotte, I would want Bianca to win. And, I don't know, again, I think Bianca has really excelled on the main roster, don't get me wrong. But, again, I am ready to see someone else take that title. And right now, of course, if it's not going to be Bayley, why the hell have you not put it on Rhea Ripley? Like I said, even my fiance, who's just a casual viewer, and of course she watched wrestling up until like 2004, I think it was. She even when she's seen Rhea, she thinks Rhea is basically the modern day China, which I think is exactly the case. So I still think they should put it on Rhea. Get rid of the women's tag titles. The SmackDown Women's Division is awful. And Charlotte should won that I Quit match, he thinks. I still think they made the right move putting it on Ronda there, but again, just my opinion. But I guess that's it. But yeah, thank you guys as always again for your comments in the live chat. Again, these streams, since bringing back my Raw and SmackDown reviews, really livened up. I appreciate, of course, you guys, keeping these streams interesting, of course, as well. But that does it for my SmackDown review, guys. I gave the show a C+. Again, that women's match really hurt it, I thought, but we'll see where it goes. So, again, possible couple more uploads tonight. But again, throughout the week, but of course with the holidays, it's going to get busy for all of us, I know that. But this week, of course, besides... I'm probably going to maybe tone down on like the odds and ends for the next couple weeks because of the holidays. But if I get time, I'll do some other stuff. Do some of the stuff if I can. But mainly, of course, like the live reviews and whatnot. And of course, the next 2 weeks with the holidays again are going to be busy because this week we got Raw, AEW, SmackDown. On top of that, we have the Full Gear preview predictions, Full Gear review. Following week, of course, we have Raw, AEW, SmackDown, Survivor Series preview and predictions, Survivor Series review after that. So it's going to be busy. But of course, December with no pay-per-views, it'll probably be like a cool down month. I mean, we will be busy for the holidays as well, all of us. So, maybe, of course, I'm still going to do my reviews, but, just as always, just keep up best I can. But maybe like the extra stuff, like the video game Let's Plays, I might tone down for a few weeks, but we'll see, of course, what happens with it. But as always, guys, just thank you as always for all your support. And I think I want to call it quits here, call it a night. Well, again, have a few more videos I may upload later on, but we'll see. But that's going to do it, guys. What are your guys' thoughts on SmackDown? Again, I gave it a C+. Make sure you guys leave your thoughts down in the comment section below. Be sure as always to slap a like on the video and subscribe more content on my channel. And follow me on Twitter as well at DemandAirboy93. And until then, guys, I'm checking out. I'll catch you all later. Have a great rest of your night and a great start to your week, hopefully, as well. Take care, guys. Peace out, everybody.